Hello, friends. Today on A Sight for Sore Eyes, we're going to talk about this camera right here. This is a Mamiya Universal camera. It's a medium format camera. We're going to talk about the camera, but mainly we're going to talk about this guy right here. This is the K back for this camera. It's multi-format back, and you can put 120 film in there and shoot 6x6, 6x4.5, and 6x9. So it's a pretty versatile little unit. So yeah, I did a video on it, I think last week probably, but you know, I hadn't used it yet. Now I have, so I got some more to talk about. But first, I want to remind you or tell you something that I forgot to tell you in my previous video. If you should begin to look for one of these backs, these multi-format backs for the Mamiya Universal, if you go to a site like perhaps eBay or something similar to that, be sure before you bid on something on this back that somebody might have, make sure that the masks come with it. These masks right here, there should be one for the 6x4.5. There should be one for the 6x6. This is a 6x4.5 that it goes into a square one, I think. Anyway, make sure you have those, and also make sure that this mask right here goes on the front of your camera. Make sure that's with the kit, because if you don't have those, you're going to have a 6x9 film holder, and that's going to be it. Okay, and these are hard to find, I understand, on eBay. Just the masks, they're really hard to find. So please make sure, if you buy one, make sure, look at the pictures, contact the seller, make sure that everything is there, because you won't be able to do anything without the mask. And sometimes they do sell without the mask. So I put a roll of film in this camera yesterday. It was the Ilford, what did I go? HP5 Plus. I wanted to take some pictures. I've been wanting to put some film in there for quite a while, but our weather has been pretty ordinary. And I haven't been going anywhere, so I couldn't think of anywhere to, you know, any pictures to take, but I did yesterday. I didn't think of any, but I made myself get out and take some pictures. And I must say that the back worked well. It's you know, it's lighter than the standard 6x7 back that came with the camera. It's a little lighter than that, so I don't think it's built quite as sturdy as the other back, but it still does a good job, and it works well. Except for a few things that I'm going to talk about here. So it's pretty simple to operate. You just open the back like you would on a normal film back for the Mamiya, and you put a roll of film in there, and you know, thread it through and get it started in your take-up spool. Once you get it started, you can close the back. You don't have, there's no arrows you need to line up with this back like you do with the other backs. So you just you start it and close the back, and then you turn it, the winding knob, you turn it and watch whatever window you have open for this back. You know, if you're using if you want to shoot 6x6 format and that's what you've got all set up for, then you open that window and you watch that window. You turn your knob, and when the number 1 appears in that window, stop. That's your starting point right there, okay? the operation is smooth. That knob turns really, really nicely. One thing I found that is kind of frustrating is the numbers on Ilford film. The numbers on the film backing that you have to watch for 6x6 are really small, and they're light. They're real light. See if I can show you here. Let me get up and hold it up closer for you. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not, but there's 3 sets of numbers there. The middle one is for 6x6. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, you can take my word for it. Those numbers are small and they're hard to see in that window. And especially in dim light, I had a heck of a time seeing those numbers. Now the numbers on that backing for 6x9 and 6x4.5, they're pretty good sized numbers. They're bulky numbers, so you can see them easily, but for some reason 6x6 is real small. And if you're going to be out in the evening or at night or any dim light, you better have a flashlight. If your eyes are, well, my eyes aren't that good, I guess, but you know, you need a flashlight to see it through that red window to make sure that you are getting the numbers lined up correctly. That was one of the problems I had with it, and that's mostly with the film. I don't know if Kodak or other makes have different numbering on it, but Ilford is really small for that 6x6. Now, when you're turning the film winding knob, turn it slow. I mean, initially it'll take you quite some time to get to number 1. But between number 1 and each consecutive number, it goes by pretty quickly. So you gotta be careful and really watch, or otherwise you'll go past a number and you'll skip a frame. So anyway, it's not hard to do. It's just a matter of keeping an eye on it. So before we go any further, I'm going to show you some of the pictures I took yesterday, and I'm not real happy with them, but they do show that this camera and back can work together. So yeah, let's take a moment here, and I got 11 pictures. I did a duplicate shot for some reason. I don't know why I did that, but anyway, they're not the best. Well, they're not even anything to talk about, matter of fact, but except for maybe one. But anyway, so yeah, let's take a look at them, and then I'll be back and we'll talk a little bit more. Okay, let's look at these pictures. Let's go. Well, I told you, they're nothing special, that's for certain. But I did want to make this video. You know, the pictures aren't sweetest, I guess, but I did want to make this video and talk about this back just a little bit more in case someone out there is thinking about getting one. So On my last video that I did on this, I just kind of introduced the back. Had one of my viewers comment that he has one and he just put it on and ran a roll of film through it, and there was no the pictures all were together. There was no spaces on the film. On the film, there was no spaces to, you know, make a cut and separate the film or anything. They were just back-to-back pictures, and he wanted to know if I knew anything about that, and I didn't. But I got to thinking about it, and I thought, well, maybe it's got something to do with the way you put the mask on it. So yesterday, because the instructions are, you know, I'll show you here in a minute, but they're awful. You can't, they're bad pictures, bad halftone pictures on them, and you know, you can't really tell what they're showing you. Anyway, so I thought I would, halfway through this roll, or a little more than halfway, I put the dark slide in, and I turned my mask over inside the camera, and because I thought maybe that's why there's no spacing between the pictures, and so I shot five frames, I think, with that mask turned over the other way. And let me show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, so here's the instructions that come with it. They're awful. They just don't explain enough. So in the instructions, they say that when you put this mask on here, you're supposed to have it facing a certain way, and they don't really go and explain that too much, but I'm going to try to do that here. So on this mask, where is it at here? Oh, right, there we go. So there's two sides to it. There's just this one side here that's really smooth, and on the back, it's got, there you go. See these little ridges right here? There's one on each side of the opening. That is supposed to go, that little ridge, when you put the mask in, it's supposed to go towards the camera, towards the inside of the camera. And they don't explain that very well. But yeah, so if the camera was out here, the lens was pointing up there somewhere, then this is pointing towards the lens. These raised shoulders right here, you can see them. So they're not on this side. It's smooth on this side. So this side here is supposed to be facing towards the back of the camera. The shoulders, the channels, whatever they're called, they're supposed to be facing towards the inside of the camera. And that's the way I had mine, but I wasn't sure if I was correct because I couldn't understand the directions. So yeah, I was curious about that. And about halfway through the roll, I stopped shooting for a minute, and I took the back off and turned that around. I turned it over the way it's not supposed to be, because I wanted to see, first of all, I wanted to see if it made any difference at all, and secondly, I wanted to see if that was this gentleman's problem or this viewer's problem, and it wasn't. So I still don't know the answer to his question. But anyway, when I first developed the film, I couldn't see any difference. Well, actually, you know, the gaps between the pictures were smaller. They were smaller after I switched that back, but there's still enough there to work with to, you know, to cut the film and everything. And I thought that was the only thing. But then after I I scanned the negatives,